Welcome to this episode of Cooking with Kirby. Today we're going to be making Pozole Rojo. Pozole Rojo is a Mexican pork soup that has a lot of spices, really tender pork, and some hominy. When I have family coming over, I make a huge pot of this and it feeds a lot of people, and it's really delicious. It's one of my favorite soups. So no further ado, let's get into the recipe. For a big pot, we're gonna be filling up with 16 cups of water, and we're gonna set the temperature to medium-low heat. Now the meat that we're gonna be using is a pork shoulder. Now you can buy the boneless pork shoulder, but I'm gonna be feeding a lot of people, so I'm gonna need the big one with the bone inside of it. And this is about 8 pounds. When I do pozole, I make a lot of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and cube those up into small little chunks, and the portion where the bone, we're gonna go ahead and trim as much meat as we can from the bone. No worries if you have meat on the bone, because once you're done cooking it, it's gonna be pull apart tender and you're gonna be able to clean that bone off. Now we're gonna go ahead and add 3 tablespoons of Knorr's chicken bouillon into the heated water. And it's not gonna have a chicken flavor once it's done, it's gonna have a nice pork flavor, but this starts it off. This is how my grandma did it, and this is how I've always done pozole. Now go ahead and fill your pot with all your meat from that pork roast, and we're gonna cover that up and we're gonna let that cook for about 2 hours. But in the meantime, we're gonna start our salsa to make it Pozole Rojo. For the salsa, we're gonna need a whole garlic head for this cook because it is a big pot, and we're also gonna need 1 whole onion. Now for the chilies, this right here is New Mexico chili pot. This is hot, be really careful. Now for that whole pot, I use 1 chili pod. Now the rest of the chilies I'm gonna be adding is the Guajillo chili. Now these are not spicy. They can be a little spicy, but they're not as spicy as the New Mexico. The New Mexico only put 1, and I put 6 to 7 of these chili pods into a big pot like that. So for the chili pods, all we're gonna do is we're gonna crack off the stem and we're gonna basically take out all the seeds. Just open it up, it's real pliable, and just remove all the seeds from the chili pods. The seeds do add some spice to it. We're not really looking to add a whole lot of spice into this. We just want the flavor, and the skin of the peppers are gonna be just enough to add good color and add some good flavor with a little bit of spice to it. Now we're gonna take all those ingredients and put it in a small pot, and we're gonna go ahead and bring that to a boil. We just wanna cook it to right where the onions start to get soft, but we want the chili pods to be nice and pliable. Now usually this takes to right when it gets boiled. That's when the onion's gonna be nice and soft and the chili pods are gonna be nice and pliable. So right when it gets boiling, then we're gonna take it over to a blender and we're gonna blend all this stuff together. Now you don't want all that juices. You just want a little bit of juices, just probably about, I'd say, 2 cups or so. And we're gonna give it a blend. Now, one thing I did forget, we are gonna be adding some oregano, some Spanish oregano. And it's roughly about 1.5 to 2 tablespoons for a big pot like this that I put of Spanish oregano. But I actually forgot it right here, but you'll see right now that I'm gonna be adding in a couple tablespoons of oregano into the salsa mix. Once we have our salsa nicely blended and nice and smooth, we do not want it chunky, we want it nice and smooth. So we're gonna go ahead and put it into our pot of our boiling pork, and we're gonna let that cook for up to the 2-hour mark. Now, if you cut them smaller, you can achieve the pork to cook a little bit faster, but in these sizes of chunks, it did cook in 2 hours where it was nice, pull apart tender. After the 2-hour mark, you want to check your pork. It should be pull apart tender. Now, when I say pull apart tender, where you just take a piece of that meat and you're going to be able to take 2 forks and just shred it apart like nothing. That's what you want to achieve. And once it gets to that point, we're going to be removing all of the meat out of the pot. Right now at this point, you want to check to see if your broth has seasoning to your taste. Now, if you feel it needs more salt, go ahead and add more salt to it. I added just probably about 2 tablespoons or so. And after that, we're gonna go ahead and add our hominy. This is 6 pounds of hominy for this huge pot. Like I said, I make a lot of this stuff. And there was not much left over at the end of the day. So go ahead and scoop your hominy out of the can and go ahead and put it into your pot. And once you get your hominy in there, then you want to go to your pork and you want to go ahead and start shredding that. Once you get all your pork shredded up, we're going to go ahead and place everything back into the pot. And we're going to let this cook for about another 30 to 45 minutes, just to allow some of those spices and seasonings to get into the hominy. After the 30 to 45 minutes, you have a big pot of good old Mexican comfort food. This is something that I can eat 9 months out of the year. Once it gets really, really hot, then that's when I don't, eat it often. But I can have this every Sunday for 9 months out of the year. This is some really delicious stuff. This is a great recipe when I have family coming over. I make a lot of it and it feeds a lot of people. Now, some of the condiments that I love, as you can see, I got radishes, onion, cilantro, lime, and cabbage. Those are my go-to toppings for pozole. I'm not picky when it comes to this stuff, and trust me, try it like this. It's very, very delicious, and I hope you enjoy it. As always, I will leave you a detailed recipe on my website, cookingwithkirby.com, where I'll actually leave the link in the video description and in the comment section. Nice big bowl. You gotta love the condiments. The condiments that you put in pozole are just fantastic. You got all that flavor from the pork and the spices, and then you get hit with all that fresh, crunchy. It's perfect. I love it. Nice and hot. This is just some warm comfort food right here. Man, this is so good. As you can see, I got some eating to do. If you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe button. That way you can see future videos just like this. I got these recipes. They're really good. You should try them out. Now y'all be beautiful and take care.